Showtime at the Apollo Dome, and she paint the perfect picture, telling stories up in all the jokes. You don't really want the drama, bro, cause Mabel cool, Mayday nice, Mayday want all the smoke. Mayday, mayhem, Mayday, mayhem, Mayday, mayhem, Mayday, mayhem, Mayday, mayhem, Mayday, mayhem, Mayday, mayhem.
This is strictly a review. Please do not take any and all commentary seriously. This is just a review of a show. Thank you, and Mayday Mayhem. Ew. And we are back with another review installment of American Gods. Now, we are on season 3, episode 3 of American Gods. And it starts off as it usually does in this season. It gives you a little tidbit of what's to be talked about. And it kind of sets you up for what else is to be expected during the episode. So it starts off in a farmland in West Virginia in 1765. Starts off with a woman and her 2 children. The woman doesn't have any animals on this farmland, and she has just this little small pile, and she actually is trying to grow her some crops in this little tiny little area. And she's taking the place of the cattle. Her daughter is helping push, and then she has a smaller daughter that's behind her throwing seeds. So as the mom is pulling and the daughter is pushing, and the other child, the smaller child, is throwing the seeds, the older child passes out due to exhaustion. So as a mother would do, she runs to her child and she starts praying, as we all do. And after she puts her children to bed, she goes in her house, she comes back out, and she has a book, a bucket, a doll, and she goes to her only pig. She only has one pig. It's a very small one. And she sacrifices her only pig. It's all she have to this ritual that she is doing in her book. As she does her ritual, she slaughters her pig. She takes everything she needs for her ritual, and she makes her little circle. She does her little ritualistic movements. She piles it on. She puts the doll on top, and as she puts the doll on top, she says her prayer, and Demina is born. And for the gratitude of her being born and being given life, she puts her hand on the woman's head, and everything for as far as the eye can see that's on that woman's property grows in a matter of seconds. Literally. So that's how the story takes place. It talks about the story of Demina, where she comes from. Then it cuts to Wednesday. Now we all know Wednesday is on some bullshit, because Wednesday is trying to, yet again, he has this war going between him and the new gods, which is media and all this, that, and the third. Their media and the old gods are fighting. Wednesday on that bullshit. So as Wednesday is getting dressed, him and his assistant Cordelia, they're getting ready to go to see Demina. And he looks on the television and he sees that his group that he was with, the little rock and roll group, has been killed. And so it looks like someone is taking out his people that's helping him gain worship. 9 times out of 10, it's probably the new gods. Because as we know before, they did kill Chernobyls One of Chonarov's people, Zorna, they did kill her, so we can't forget that. That's how it all kicked off. Real bad. They killed her. So he's going to visit her, and he wants to look dapper, fresh, and now as he goes to see her. So he's getting ready. He's getting his shirts steamed, and he's just talking to Cordelia about what he needs to get to be ready to go see Demina. Now, Cordelia is new to this. She has no fucking clue what's going on. All she knows is that she is hired by Wednesday to move around with him and help him with all his technical support, so he can try to have a up on media also. Wednesday ain't slick. I see through you, Wednesday. I see you, boo. You ain't slick. So it cuts from there, and we go to Laura Moon. And now we are talking about Laura Moon. And it's like, where has Laura Moon been? Laura Moon, remember, she never really totally died. Remember that, people. So now, when she gave the coin back to Sweetie for him to come back to life so he can kill Odin, which is Wednesday, she finally crossed over into where she needs to be so she can cross over to where she has to go. So she looks around, and she's on an elevator with people screaming. And she's like, what the fuck's going on? Everyone's screaming. Then it comes to a halt. But as everyone's screaming, she looks around and she sees they're in like a universe type of thing. They're like out in space. And she finally stops. Everything stops. Everyone stops screaming, and they get off an elevator. It's like they're in a train station. She is given a booklet, a pamphlet with a blue pamphlet. As soon as she gets off the elevator, she's walking around pissed, and I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. And she's so much in I need to get out of here. I don't know what's going on. What's going on? What the hell's going on? That she's not paying attention to what they're telling her. Everything is a process, and you need to listen to what we're telling you. Everything is not what it seems. So she's given the blue card, and she's just like, she's just looking like, what the fuck? But we cut to Allison. Now, Allison is still missing. Allison is the young lady that was, of course, missing, and she was in the store with Shadow and on a bus with Shadow. So it's something to do with this girl. Allison is missing. Now, as Allison is missing, the town is looking for her. They're looking for her. And this Anne Marie lady, I don't trust her, because it seems as though she's very persuasive, and she even cuts the sheriff off while he's telling the townspeople, look, we need to do this, we need to do that. Anybody see some, call out, take pictures. And before he can get it out, she's talking over him. No, use these cameras from our store, and if you need them developed, bring them to me, and don't use it over the internet. Like, I'm kind of thinking that a lot of these people in this town may be gods, and maybe that's why Wednesday sent Shadow there. I don't know. We have to wait and see. Not too sure. I don't know. But she's real weird. She's in everybody's business, and no one knows anything about her. Just weird to me. So we go back to, of course, they cut back. It's a cutaway scene. It's back and forth. We cut back to Laura Moon. She's given that blue card now. Don't forget, she was given that blue card. She's so much in a hussy tiffy fit to try and find Where do I go? What's going on? I need to get out of here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. That she literally steals a woman's yellow card. And they were calling for people with yellow cards only. Yellow cards only. She sees a woman sitting there minding her own business, not really paying attention. And she grabs her card and switches it off with a blue one for hers. And she shows the man like, yeah, I got one. And he go ahead, lets her in. He's not paying attention. See the card, let her in. Now, Laura Moon, you should know you can't trick fate. So she goes through there and she looks at the card and it started switching numbers. And it goes to 7125. That's the card that's displayed on her. And as she looks up, the doors have numbers on them. So she tries to run back and open the door she came out of. But of course you can't open the door. It's not going to open. As she tries to open the door, she can't. Stuck. So she starts running and she looks at the door, different doors, and she opens one and bug spray falls on her. And it takes her back to her life, to when she tried to do self-harm to herself. She was trying to hurt her own self. So it was taking her back to like, yo, remember when you did this? Remember when you did that? And she got away from the spray and started running. And as she ran, it ran her in to a door. And it just cut away from there. Okay? Then it goes back. See, I'm telling y'all these cutaways. Then it goes back to Shadow Moon and the sheriff talking. And the sheriff tries to apologize. And this is the most poetic thing. And this is why I like American Gods, because they have little trinkets in there that you have to pay attention and you will see it. The most poetic thing. The sheriff walks up to Shadow. Now, Shadow is black, of course. The sheriff is white. The sheriff apologizes to Shadow and says, look, I'm sorry. I don't want you to feel any type of way for me coming at you about Allison missing the other day. I was just doing my job. You know, I don't want you to think I came at you because you're black or anything like that. You know, Lakeside is not that type of town. We don't do that type of stuff here. And Shadow, which I love, gives this smirk. And he looks at him and was like, isn't Lakeside a part of America? And the sheriff was like, yeah, it is, but yeah. And he was saved by a call, because it's ever so true. Yes, black people are looked at differently in everywhere you go. I don't care what town, what city, what state, what region you in. You're looked at differently and treated differently. Why? Because it is still America. So that was a little trinket that the writers threw up in there that I like that they give in America Gods. Just want to throw that in there. But it was thrown in there, and then Shadow even gives a quick look at the camera like, you know what this is. So that happens. So then we cut back to Laura Moon. Now, Laura Moon is in like a chair of some sort. It's like a movie theater type setting. And yes, this is like the facts of Laura Moon's life. And they tell her the AV people and the attendant that have the usher, there you go, the usher and the AV that runs the camera tell her to have a seat and watch the movie. Laura Moon is so angry and so that she's not listening. They tell her to have a seat. She gets up and goes into the movie. And the movie is telling the story of when she was a child and how she believes she helped coerce her dad into having several affairs on her mom, and how she is the reason her life is so fucked up, and how she is the reason her mom and dad got a divorce, and why they had all these type of issues, and how her father and her went to a place. It was a vacationless spot, and yeah, it's my mom. It's my mom didn't want to come, and a woman, I invited her to come up, and I told her to, why don't you join us at the pool? And then I decided to stay in the room and watch cartoons. And I told Dad that him and the woman could go. And Dad didn't even know I was lurking outside the hall. They were having so much fun. Now, she's telling the story as though she was the one who orchestrated all of this. And the AV people are just looking at her. Then she jumps out and she tells them, look, that's my life. I did it all. Every fucked up thing I did. Now, what do y'all want? So she gets up, she runs out, and she pretty much jumps into another realm, into a pool, and they pull her out. And they tell her, sit your ass down. Now she's dripping wet after this one. They tell her, sit your ass down. Because prior to that, she had been arguing back and forth with them, back and forth. They told her, set your ass down. So as she sits down and she gets this relief back to her, they have to go and get the tapes, and they rewind it and show it to her again. And they tell her ass, don't you move. Sit, don't move, don't say a word. Because right now, Laura Moon has gotten on these people's last damn nerves. So they tell her, don't you move. Don't you get your ass up. So as she sits there, she doesn't move. She just stays there. And she watches. And this time when she watches from the watching point and sees how her father manipulated her mind. It was a scene as where she thought, oh, well, I invited the lady to come to the pool, and then I decided not to go down there and watch cartoons. But in actuality, her father was the one that said, you know what, kiddo? I don't think there's a pool downstairs for kids. So why don't you stay up here and watch cartoons? He orchestrated all of that, and he put that on her. So she had a coming to reality reason that every fuck up that she did was not her fault. Everything she did in her life was not her fault. Everything that she should have been protected from, she was not protected from. And it was not her fault. And once she realized that, and I mean, she really, really realized that, she realized she was a kid. It was not her fault. Even the AV person told her, every fuck up was not your fault, bruh. And like I said, sometimes these shows give us little trinkets and we have to watch them. And she was put in an adult situation as a child. And she thought everything her parents did was her fault. And it was not her fault. And she had to realize that that moment was not her fault. It wasn't her fault. And once she realized that it wasn't her fault and she was just a kid and it really wasn't her, she was able to leave and walk out the door. and the door closed behind her, and she's just left in limbo. So we'll have to see what happens to Laura Moon later on. Then we cut back to, let's talk about Wednesday trying to get Demina. Now, Wednesday pulls up thinking Demina is in a big old castle. But actually, Demina is in she's almost like the ward of a state, because she was pretty much outside naked, because she's nature. She's pretty much like nature. She was born of nature. So as Cordelia and Wednesday get to the place, they see that this is almost like retirement kind of admitted place. And he finds out that she's admitted into the hospital and he's trying to get her out so she can help him fight this war with new media, with social media and everything, the new worlds. And also, she has a nice pretty penny, which will of course help fund his war. So Wednesday has his circles going. And him and Demina has been together for a while, some 250 years, so to say. So he over there trying to woo her, and him and Cordelia then forged a fake marriage certificate showing that they've been married for 40 years and where he been, and he's talking to the doctor to try to get her out. And she like, motherfucker, I ain't going. So that's them. But then we go to Belize. Now, as we know, Belize was kind of sick last time after she's kind of worried after she absorbed that last man. And she has been having these just crazy notation there. Belize is not scared of anything. She's not scared of nothing. Belize ain't scared of shit. But Belize is walking around this motherfucker like, uh-oh. And as she's walking around, she finds the man's phone and she looks through it, and it's so many messages like, we miss you, grandpa, where are you? And she's scared. Like, Belize is scared of nothing. So as I said, Belize is looking through the phone and she's like, what is all this? And as she's looking through the phone, she hears noises and she sees someone messing with her doorknob. And next thing you know, somebody is sawing through her door and she's scared. She's like, what the fuck? So Belize takes her like fan, and her fan has like, it's like little bitty scythe thing in it. And that's like her weapon. She like ready. She's like, I'm ready, bitches. I'm ready. So as she has her weapon, she ready to go, boo-boo. She is ready. And next thing you know, it goes blank. So we don't know what happens to Belize. So it goes back to Shadow. Now, Shadow was talking to the person that owns the house, and she's also the newspaper writer for the newspaper. He's talking to her, the property manager, and they're chit-chatting, and her son comes home, and she pretty much gives him some books and tells him, if you want to read this, go ahead and read it. You know what I'm saying? They chit-chatting it up and everything. And she pretty much gives him not any books, but these are all of the historical clips or newspaper articles from Lakeside. So he takes it back to his apartment. He starts reading it and he falls asleep. As he falls asleep, Shadow goes into a dream state. And as he's dreaming, he goes right back to this supermarket as he did before, but this time he's an adult. And he sees Berlice on every last magazine, and she's telling him, Shadow, come find me. Come get me. Shadow, come find me. I need your help. Come find me. And he like, okay. But then he goes to the freezer and he sees these 3 beautiful African goddesses, and they just dance like, come in, Shadow. Come join us. It's a party. Mayday mayhem. That's how they doing. That's what they doing. They're like, come on over here. Come on, Shadow. What you doing? Come on. And Shadow was like, yeah, I'm feeling this. Let me open up this motherfucking cooler. So Shadow opened up the cooler, but before he was like really feeling it. But he opened it up and it just bursted out on him. And once he went in there, it was like he was in a cold winter land. And he pretty much woke up. And when he woke up, he called Wednesday. And he asked Wednesday, because of course Cordelia gave him a number. And he asked Wednesday, where's Berlice? I need to find her. I need to go see her. So Wednesday tells Shadow where Berlice is. And Shadow goes to find Berlice. He goes to New York. So Shadow is leaving for Lakeside on his way to New York to find Berlice. And as he's leaving out though, he talks to the property owner, of course, and she puts out the newspapers and she's telling him that, no, Allison hasn't been found. We still looking for her. And on top of the paper it says, search continues. And he's like, he tries to see if he can read anything or feel anything as she walks away. And if he gets any, like psychic readings off of that, he doesn't. So he walks out the door and leaves. But as he's leaving and walks out the door, the actual top of the newspaper article changes to bloody scarf found in woods. So it's very telling. We have to see on next episode what will happen. So Shadow is gone. He leaves to go to New York. As he gets to New York, he's looking for, Berlice. And once he gets to a house, he sees all these pretty peacocks along the walls. And he's like, this is sweet. This is really pretty and intricate. He's thinking to himself, it's real intricate. And he's been dreaming of peacocks and seeing peacocks. So as he looks at her door, he sees her door has been kicked in. And he opened the door and he sees the house is in shambles. Her house is a mess. It looks like it's been a fight. And it's been a fight. It's been a fight. And he sees blood on the floor. And he also sees her feathered peacock fan and her little scythe that was with it on the ground. And it's covered in blood. And then, he's in shock. And he looks to the side of him. And he sees someone crying and in shambles. And who could it possibly be? Media. He's in the corner crying and like in shambles and like, so now we're looking like, what happened? What happened? So that's where we end. And now we're wondering what happened to Berlice. Where's Berlice? What happened? Did media do it? And if media did it, why is he there? These questions will have to wait until next episode. So, thank you for tuning in and thank you for hanging in there and listening to me. And we will be back next time for season 3, episode 4 of American Gods. Thank you. Bye.